Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nazir page 46, in which it discusses the situation of the purification process of the Nazir. After a typical Nazir waiting for the period of 30 days, he brings 3 different offerings. He will shave his hair. The hair is actually, as we've learned previously, taken, and gravy from the peace offering is poured on it, and it's burned underneath the pot where this sacrifice is being cooked. And in addition to that, the Kohen will take parts of the offering as well as the breads that accompanied the offerings, and they'll be put in the palms of the Nazir, and it is waved. And then it says, and afterwards the Nazir can drink wine. And again, it's questionable whether or not this entire process needs to be done before he's able to drink wine and become in contact with the dead, or even part of this process. The Talmud here discusses whether the waving that the Kohen does with him, whether that's a requirement, whether the cutting of the hair is an absolute requirement. But what's fascinating is actually a direct quote from the verse. It says, and I'll read the verse, which is only a few words. V'achar yishteh hanazir yayin. After all is said and done, the Nazir can now go and drink wine. The difficulty with that sentence is he is not a Nazir. If he did all of this, he went through the days of counting, and he brought the sacrifices, the waving, the haircut. Everything was done in accordance to the way the Torah wants this purification process, and everything is done completely. And now he's allowed to drink wine. That makes sense. But why does the Torah say that afterwards this Nazir can drink wine? So on the simple reasoning, looking at it, you can say, well, it's referring to this individual. Of course, he's not a Nazir anymore. But it just represents this person who was a Nazir, so now he's allowed to drink. But that's not what it says. It says, and now this Nazir is allowed to drink wine. He's not a Nazir. And the way that it's explained is that even though it's true, he is allowed to now drink wine. He's allowed to cut his hair. He's bald, but eventually can cut his hair. He can become in contact with the dead and become impure. Those things are all true. However, the experience that he had as a Nazir, is he just going to forget about it? Or is it going to be something that he will carry with him for the rest of his life? The Torah is telling us that even though you may not be a Nazir, still retain those feelings and the things that you learned during that time when you were a Nazir, and carry them with you for the rest of your life. And afterwards, the Nazir shall drink wine. And this is an important lesson for ourselves as well. We go through all different types of life experiences, some good and some bad. And often when they're bad, we just want to push them aside. And sometimes when they're good, we forget about them. But we have to recognize that there is no price that we can put on life experiences. And to just go through life and just forget about our past and to not allow them to become part of who we are is a lesson that is lost. It's necessary for us to grow from all of our life experiences and to be able to take those experiences with us, because by doing so, we will become different people. It's not just that we went through something and now all of a sudden we can just forget about it, but rather all of the challenges and obstacles that we experienced, they are now part of who we are. They are now part of the individual that I currently am. And therefore, just like the Nazir, even though technically he can do all the things that he wasn't able to do before, he still needs to remember and to be able to live his whole life remembering that experience, and so shall we.